subscribing, and leaving comments.
No, this is my microphone. You see what he does to me? He calls me up and then all right, go ahead.
You can stay
Give
here.
yourself a commercial again.
Okay.
No, it's over here.
No, I don't need it.
Oh.
No, it's your mic, remember?
Yes.
Okay. What we're going to initiate right now, we've had several people at least come up to me at the gym. So, starting with this meeting, we're going to ask that there is no smoking until the break time. When the door is open, then you can smoke all you want, and then before and after the meeting. But during the meeting, because we shut the doors, we ask that no one smokes. Again, if you've already lit up, you can finish it. But that's going to be our rule from now on. Break time, you can smoke all you want, but during the meeting, we ask that you don't.
Pardon me. Also, they just you see what he leaves me with? The first thing I'd like to do this evening is, Wednesday was Veterans Day. And I have to go back in time just for a few moments, something I did last year, and I'm going to repeat it. Without the veterans that fought the First World War, Second World War, Korean War, Vietnam, etc., we wouldn't be able to meet the way we are, discuss the things that we discuss, have the opinions that we have, be able to go into a library. When I was in Russia, and I brought some Russians over here with me, and I took them, we were driving through Phoenix, and I said, by the way, we're going to look something up, and I stopped at a library. They were stunned that you could walk into the library and go to any department that you wanted and check a book out and walk out. The only way you can go there, you used to be able to, I don't know what it's like there now, the way it used to be, you had to get your teacher to sign a certificate as to what book you were allowed to look at. Then you went and they allowed you to read it there. You never took it out. But because of these veterans and Veterans Day, and I know we have some veterans here from the Second World War. One guy's been to Guadalcanal, Bougainville, and if you have never heard of those, please go take a look in your history book, because they were some of the most bloody battles America ever fought. We have another gentleman back here who fought in the European campaign. And would you join me? We have a rather interesting group here tonight, as a matter of fact. We have some, this is a UFO group, and yet we have some very prominent Bigfoot researchers here. We have Mr. Keating back there with a red eye. Oh, no, that's your camera. I'm sorry. Mr. Daigle here has been researching several years. He's from Michigan, has dropped in. And we have Mr. Francis, I believe, has been involved for quite a few years. He's here. I don't know how many else of you have been involved in research. I see a gentleman back here. It's rather intriguing, and art, and a lot of people here, because we have a cross current here that is starting to come together, and that's why I think it was in July. Jim and Paul and I got together to discuss something, and I made a proposal. I have a foundation that has the 501c3 rating with the IRS. It's been there for about 15 years. I have maintained it, but have not really truly utilized it. I don't know what that means. It's a tax-exempt corporation. Any donations, anything that goes through it, is legitimately tax deductible. It's like the National Wildlife Federation, except we're only a few people. We're starting only now have we decided to go ahead and make this thing not only statewide but national. But I see a cross current in interests, and I saw right here in this room, you have a lot of people here, you've been interested for 20 years. And you've been so kind to one another. And you've come here and you've discussed it, but how about really legitimately getting out in the field and researching the UFO? How about getting legitimate equipment that you can use? How about training people to check these things out and getting them the equipment. How are you going to do that? It takes money. So how do you raise money? First thing you do is like I've always done, like most, I'm sure Mark Francis has done this. I'm sure that we've all done it. We dig into our own pocket first. Then you ask somebody else to join us. I mean, you have to do it. So what I'm saying here is we have a tax-exempt corporation. Everything that is donated or put in is tax deductible. That's one way of getting it back. We're going to be coming up with a lot of products. For instance, a book that I was on my way to New York, as a matter of fact, and Bob Ball here said, why don't you try a publisher in Canton, which I did. We ended up with a talking book. Well, just last night, about 6 o'clock, the first 40 of the books actually came off the press, and we grabbed them. We made a special deal with the publisher. I think in the bookstore, I believe they're going to be. I don't have any control over that. It's either $16 or $18.95, something like that. But we have a special edition for ARF. Now, I'm sorry about the acronym. ARF sounds like, I know people are going to make it, but it's the American Anthropological Research Foundation. But we are associating with you because we want to help also in your research. We want to help. One's been abducted. If they've seen UFOs, let's do something about it. Let's not just meet once a month and talk about it. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Where are you going with that? I'm over here. Thank you. Anyway, I didn't ask for the kitchen though. I'll give you an example also how you're going to get some exposure. Steve Jones is a rather interesting radio personality. He has a unique way of doing a show. I did his show and he was complete, total skeptic of Bigfoot. I mean, he really took me on. And after the show, after he was polite on the radio, he cut it off and he said, all right, stop the nonsense. What is this thing? Okay, fine. So he challenged me. I love challenges. I can't stand it. I have to grab them. So I said, come with me. We went out in the field, and you're going to see in just a few moments a videotape that is in the process of being edited. And you're going to see it spoiled in the West. But you're going to see what's going to be released. This is pre-release to the media. We've also been invited for a full hour on the Montel William National Show. We're still in contact, and we've been fencing with the Jay Leno Show, and a few other things go with it. We've been holding off because during the summer I've been too damned busy. Rather than talk about it, I'd rather get out and do it. So, okay, we're getting to a point now, what we're going to make some proposals. If we can get your membership to join with us in ARF, we're every member of the UFO Study Group that joins ARF, a portion of that is going to be siphoned off into getting things done for the UFO research. We have the Bigfoot Pocket Manual, which deals with research on Bigfoot. Paul Rozick is in their works right now over the UFO Pocket Manual. But Steve and I got together and we had some fun on the radio. So we decided to come up with a new radio show. And we just finished the 6 first, I guess you'd call them pilots. And we had some fun. The name of the show is called The Seekers, because that's what we all are. We are seeking things in life. Now, if you go into the idea of a predisposed concept, I'm going to prove that XYZ exists, you pretty well channel yourself toward that, and that's nice. I don't quite work that way. I don't care what in the hell I find out as long as it's true. And I don't mind if you prove me wrong, because in that I learned something new. I think that's what a seeker is all about. So we started out, and it's going to be a radio show I think is going to cause a little stir around here. We had, first we had Paul Rozick, and we talked, he was so good on UFOs. He started off on abductions. We did a second show with him on abductions. How many of you remember the old hippie musician, Malachi? He was somewhat of a legend back in the 60s and the 70s. Well, he happens to be a friend of mine. And I called him the other day, told him what I was doing. He said, stand pat, Jack. He said, I'm gonna do you some music, all of yours. And he sent me in the meantime what he called holy music, and this was during the time of the hippies. And I was a hippie despite the fact I didn't have any hair. I was the only bald hippie around, but I didn't wear shoes. Anyway, I was down in Coconut Grove, doing that whole scene. Everybody says, hey man, you don't know where it's at. Hell, I was there. Anyway, We did a hypnotherapist, the gentleman that we're talking about. We're forming a relationship with Paul Sheedy, and we will be able to take people to him, and which I did, on Bigfoot sightings and then UFO abductions. We've already done it. Hell of a man. He used to be the secretary, and I don't mean small s, I'm talking about the capital S, secretary of TRW. He's no dummy. This man is very well qualified. We did a show on a chiropractor. Why a chiropractor as opposed to a doctor? And this guy is a fireball. And he came out and he answered a lot of questions that I think a lot of people should have answered. We had, who else did we have, Steve?
Faith healer.
A faith healer. We went into that, and then we challenged him. You know, prove it. I mean, come on. Did you ever have somebody's leg grow right in your hand? He said, yes. And he put it in such a way, I don't think the man's lying. He has access to something. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be kicking there and play frickin' track with me for a few minutes and tell you a little bit more about what we're all about. But please do understand that we at ARF, the American Yeti Expeditions, is underneath that. We are trying to put together something realistic. We want 4,000 members by the 1st of April. Now we have something else in mind. I can assure you of this. We have something else in mind that comes down next summer that you will be fascinated with. You will not be ashamed of it. And I think by the time we're through, we're going to put this entire mystery to bed. Watch what's happening. Now, how do you work your machine, sir? And again, I'm going to apologize. It's a little bit out of sequence. Sometimes the speech lags, but bear with me. We're going to have a national press conference probably after Thanksgiving. This is the first run, but I thought, since most of you, I've seen you before and you're kind of friendly, you don't throw things at me or anything like that, that you wouldn't mind taking a look at it.
You don't need it rewound on a straight go.
No, it's just shove it in and see what happens.
You wanted to pause it or something?
No, just take it roll through. In fact, some of the music on here is from Malachi, for those of you who have remembered him.
Here we go.
Let's see, am I in your way?
No.
I think I am, am I? Oh, wait a minute, it does need rewound. I'm so sorry, I don't know why that's there.
I know his tape was...
Well, you're smarter than I am, that's for sure. I don't understand how that got there. Electronic machines. Nonsense.
No, I heard that though it was on. But I still wasn't... A note? A note.
Even Ohio, it's like that tight. Okay. Well, your way if I can. Can you see past me? This is an area of Ohio few people know exist. Even Ohioans from the big cities like Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati seldom realize how many thousands of acres are still in the wilderness, as it was Ohio near the West Virginia border. Hello, I'm Robert W. Morgan, the director of the American Yeti Expeditions for the American Anthropological Research Foundation. I came here to conduct a search for the American version of the abominable snowman, the Bigfoot, made famous by ancient Indian legends and modern sightings. I came back to Ohio to see for myself, was the Ohio Bigfoot fact or fiction? Jim, I think it needs the tracking on it. I began my work in the summer of 1991, and with the help of 7 dedicated field researchers, conducted a rather intense survey of southern Ohio. Personally, I had strong doubts. After all, most of my work was down in the Pacific Northwest. What follows is a peek at some, not all, of the successful events that leave me no alternative. I now believe that multiple Bigfoot families still exist here in Ohio, as in the times of the great Delaware Indians and the early white settlers. Here's your Malachi.
We're seeing areas of Ohio that so few people see now. But this is where we began, and we started looking in the most obvious places for tracks. That's the first indication, other than, of course, sighting reports, that a Bigfoot does exist in the area. Local people gave us great insight. And sure enough, when you know what to look for as you walk along a bank, you know that sooner or later they're going to make a mistake, and if you're sharp, if you keep your eyes open, you're going to catch that mistake, such as this one. Looks like just a hole in the mud, doesn't it? But it turned out that the previous night, Miss Allie Motz and myself had heard something large and bipedal walking in the water. It wasn't until the following day that we found this impression. And as you see that stick that we laid down beside it to measure the length, look at the length of that in comparison to the breadth of her shoulders. It turned out to be about 17 inches long. Was that just a mere wader? I doubt it. So we knew that somewhere behind this impenetrable forest behind us, something still was there. Something was nearby. Something had made that track. Was it another person? I don't think so. I've been in the woods too many times, and I know what to look for.
He sure screwed up, didn't he?
Well, we knew sooner or later that he was going to leave some prints. Yes, indeed he did. 5 excellent prints, fresh, very fresh, made the night before we were there. That's the width of Steve Jones's hand, a radio personality from Kent, Ohio, one of our field researchers. There's a size 10.5 shoe next to that print. You can see it quite clearly there. We're very cautious about too perfect prints. But when we know there's no one in the area except ourselves, that's when we become most interested. Here Glenn Atkins tries to match the stride of the Bigfoot as it casually walked up. Oh, but there was more to come. Much more was in the offing. More than tracks. Things began to happen.
I tried to left down that mountain. And sat listening for a few minutes and we heard what sounded like, I don't know exactly what the closest we could describe it as an angry chimpanzee or something like that. It didn't sound like any animal that, that would be around, and it sounded big. You could hear it moving. A sound like it was maybe hitting another small animal or something against a tree or something, just kind of pounding noises. There were something soft but pounding, and it was this continuous noise of this screaming like an angry chip or something. And this went on for 30 minutes or so. It was hard to tell time.
Some of the things, by the way, that tree, that was the second tree within 24 hours. I mean, how many times have you been in the forest and an entire tree is knocked over? It's not very often. Sure. Oh yeah.
I missed it. Wasn't looking for it.
Too bad.
Knocked over, Mr. Morgan, from the roots?
Yes. No, not the roots. Let me finish. The idea was this, that we had gone to a pre-arranged spot where we had established some communication. When we got there, this was around midnight. We heard an entire tree go over. Now, I was a logger. I don't know how many people here have been in the woods as a logger. I spent a lot of time in the woods as a logger. I never heard a tree go down, ever, unless it was cut. It just, I mean, they go down, of course they do. All right, fine, coincidence. It's coincidence that we just happened to arrive at that site at that moment, right, Steve?
Yeah.
And the whole tree went down. And then when I put Steve down, because that's where he jumped. when I put him down and got him back on his feet, we said, you know, this is a very strange thing to have happened. Could it be coincidence? Is it possible? But within 24 hours, because at 6 o'clock the following evening, Dennis Bartow and I went back to the same spot, and it happened again. Only this time I had my camera with me. Now it takes a real sharp eye because you have to know what to look for. There's just a wave because he's quite a ways in the distance. We found a tree. We have it on film. Twice they tried to scare us out. The young lady that was on the film, her name is Tricia McAllister. She works with Glenn and myself and Steve and everyone. And she was there with me at 2:30 in the morning, and like, you know, it takes, I don't know how many times before I learn. You know, sometimes you're stupid. I didn't take my camera with me out of the car. How many times have you done that and then something happens? And we're at 2:30 in the morning, what the hell am I going to do with a camera, you know? So I get up there, we're standing alongside the road, and this incredible display went on. I'm talking about shouting. I'm talking about hitting. Trish was describing something soft, like it was hitting an animal. We realized later it was hitting itself, trying to intimidate us. And the way we responded, we stood up on this embankment, and Tricia, she's about this tall, cool as a cucumber. She said, "What do you think it is?" I don't know. In any case, finally, after about 7 minutes of this, I yelled back. Dead silence. So I said, okay, let's play the rock game. I picked up a rock and threw it. Nothing. I think the Bigfoot was probably standing there saying, he's supposed to run. But we didn't. In any case, that's the type of thing we're going to make public. We're going to go ahead with this, and we have more to go with it, obviously. But I wanted you folks to see, if you forgive the raw cut on it. Steve, how about yourself? You have anything to say here?
Probably everybody hopes I don't, but I do. First of all, thanks for inviting me again. The first tree that went down, I do want to tell you that we have it on tape, that it's totally X-rated. And we could not show it because it happened, what, maybe 50 yards behind me, and I cut loose with about 19 syllable words that my mother would totally be ashamed of me, because I mean, it scared me to death. I mean, we were standing there, I wasn't scared, but how many times have you been in the woods with no beavers around, and you see a tree, and didn't we found that tree too, didn't we? Kind of busted off, just, it wasn't a beaver. Pardon me?
How thick around is this tree?
Well, the first one was about like this. The other one, like so. How the hell they did it?
It was a monster.
How far off the ground was it broken?
Like so.
Yeah, it was about 3 foot.
3 foot off the ground and about between 2 and 3 foot circumference? Yeah. Across, corner to corner across?
It was no beaver that did it, believe me. And there was nobody else. You know, when we tell people these things, they don't understand. They think we're crazy. I thought this bald-headed, pudgy person was crazy about a year ago, okay? And he was talking about the talking book, okay? The Ultimate Legend Quest was 11 hours of audio tapes, and I listened to it in like 3 days. I couldn't put it down. This book showed me that this man was on a mission, and I wanted to be on that mission with him. Now, when I look around this room, I don't see a bunch of kooks that have nothing better to do on a Saturday night than to come down to a UFO meeting. I see people who are also seeking something. It's scientific proof that Bigfoot does exist. And we know it does, but I'm talking scientific proof. Number 2, along with that scientific proof, we can get these people protected from people in the woods carrying guns, shooting them for whatever reason. And number 3, establishing a long-lasting relationship. We have established a relationship with a family of these people already. And when they went through the intimidation thing, trying to scare us away, to they come out and play. And I think we've been very, very successful. But this helped me on my mission also. And you will find that this man, although he is bald-headed and quite ugly, that he is on a mission, and we work together quite well. I'm really interested. I'm really excited about what next year. Go ahead.
When is your radio program?
10:30 Sunday morning. Temporarily, they changed it. So I just may drop that. We've got this Seeker show is just phenomenal. I'm gonna have to put most of my time into this and remodeling my house if my wife will ever let me get out. But,
Did you get a chance to examine the tree? Was it a rough break or a clean break?
how do you explain something like that?
That gives me some idea of the amount of force, because it's a tree that's 3 or 4 feet thick.
It was not with a chainsaw, believe me. Yes, it was a rough break.
Bent over, it would have to have a bending power. And I work with a press, so I understand vaguely the amount of pressure. Something like that would have to have between a 5 or 4 ton pounding pressure.
You're assuming it was a healthy green tree, was it? Was it a dead tree, or was it?
Healthy green.
The first one was pretty well, it was old, it was rotted, but it was pushed over. The second one was fairly healthy.
Yeah,
But I think we'd be doing everyone here a disservice if we went into how many pounds pressure and all that stuff. That's wonderful, and the fact is it happened. How many pounds pressure he has, and the tendonitis he might have gotten from it, maybe I don't know.
Sore finger.
Yeah.
Definitely pulled a groin muscle.
I will say one thing about, just to comment about the book. It's called The Ultimate Legend Quest, and folks, it's not just about Bigfoot. That's not what we're after. It's not, it also has chapters in about UFOs. The Ultimate Legend Quest, what is that? It's where we come from, and why are we here on Earth? Where are we? That's what the Ultimate Legend Quest is about. That's what the book is about. I started out looking for a big hairy thing in the woods because I saw it and somebody said I was crazy and it ticked me off. That's what it started out. Then I found out more about my fellow man than I did about the Bigfoot, and it wasn't very happy. Then I found that the Indians knew a hell of a lot more than what they were telling us. And then I found out that the Indians and the Tibetan lamas knew a lot more than any of us put together. So I'm sharing those things with you because the Ultimate Legend Quest is where we came from, and a piece in that puzzle is the Bigfoot. And that's one of the major reasons, one of the many reasons I don't want to see it killed. It's stupid. It's stupid to go out and kill anything unless you're going to have to eat it or in order to survive yourself. Yes, sir, you?
Okay, I agree. I mean, if there is the Bigfoot there, that they shouldn't be killed. But how do you expect to prevent it from? I mean, I've heard somebody right in this meeting here say that he would like to kill the first Bigfoot.
I'm sure that and I'm sure that those people do exist because they have that sort of an ego, I suppose. And my suggestion to them is, the ultimate game that way is hunt somebody that can shoot back. Hunt me.
I agree.
That is an open challenge to them. Come and hunt me.
Yeah,
that's simple, and I'll be glad to do it.
But I'd like to know how you. I mean, like you say, you don't want to.
Evidence.
Yes, the evidence.
Scientific evidence. How would that protect the Bigfoot as well?
The one thing is if we can, first of all, establish the DNA and the chromosome count. That's number one.
Yeah.
That takes a small amount of tissue and a little bit of blood. That's all.
Right.
It doesn't mean killing it.
No, I understand.
Okay. The second thing is establishing a long-term relationship where you can take a scientist or scientists to them. Now that sounds outrageous. It's not. It's not. It can be done. And now if you take a team of scientists out to show them gorillas, and then let's say they're all white, you don't have to kill one to prove that they exist. Because if they're there right in front of you, you can videotape, you can do whatever you want. You can collect their feces, hair, a small amount of tissue, unless you want to get smacked upside the head. But that's basically our approach, is to apply that sort of thing. And we have, I think we're going to have the backing pretty strongly of the Sierra Club and Greenpeace, PETA, and quite a few other conservationist organizations, National Wildlife Federation, people like that. You're talking about an awful lot of people that are on our side of the fence.
Well, I hope so.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But that's the way to do it, is to, the old way is let's kill 3 to 7 specimens and compare them and find out if they come from the same, and take them apart. That's the old way. But science, like anything else, should learn new ways of doing it. Right now, we're losing species every day. Now, because of the rainforest and things like this, and because of the stupidity of that. But it's time for all of us to learn a little bit more. You know, it's like we talk about being mankind. That's what we call ourselves, mankind. Consider that word. It's in two sections, man and kind. You know, and like a lot of us, some of us have not been in the military. Some of us haven't been shot at or shot back. Death is no joke. It's not fun. It's nothing to be playing with. And that's why I stopped hunting, unless it's absolutely necessary. Anyway, that's my own personal opinion. That's about all we have. Yes. Yes, Art. Absolutely.
Okay, I agree with you in a sense, you're right. Basically, what science has been doing, people that study animals recently, you'll see this in a lot of documentaries, even the bigger animals, for instance, have been sedated and successfully taken out. Now, with the Bigfoot, I have to agree with you. I don't know how that would go about approach that. The idea is, basically, what are you going to do? Get the thing to sit, take a sample, and do what? You know?
Yes.
I'm like you, though. I don't believe in the killing of these things. For a simple reason is that we should study them more than anything harmful. By studying them, we get more scientific data, all right, than if we kill the thing. We would get no data. We'd be killing something, destroying something, and not getting the information that we are seeking, all right? With the study of this thing, its natural habitat, all right, it will give us more information than anything there is. And that's what they did with the gorilla. In fact, you remember Diane Foster did
yes.
with the African gorilla. Like I said again, the DNA will determine a lot how close they are linked to us. Right? The chimpanzee, for instance, is very close to us. It's not. It is. Because of its DNA.
It's real close to my wife's side of the family.
I will say this, Art, you know, when it comes to capture, everybody talks about capturing a Bigfoot. You know, this is a UFO meeting. We really should get on with the other things. But you go way back to 1970, 71 is when I first put out the premise of capture. And we went through a tremendous amount of material. I don't just say, yeah, let's go get a gun. I am very methodical in the way I do things. I found out what drug it is. I went to the zoos. I practiced with it, everything, the whole shoot match. I went out. We had Peter Byrne and myself were the only ones with capture rifles. We had an arrangement. I had a doctor on the expedition with us and a nurse. Now, I'd like to see some of these other clowns that say they're so-called researchers. Do they have a doctor? Do they have a nurse? Do they have an arrangement? Do they have an arrangement, a contract with the university to pick up the specimen, as we called it, in a helicopter, fly it over there, and they had already made provisions in the veterinary school to take care of it. Those are the kind of arrangements that are necessary. And you know what we found out? Unless the doctor could get to the Bigfoot within 15 minutes, he was going to die. Why? Because we had no way. These clowns are running around with these dart guns. You better find out how many rhinos died before they figured out the right dosage. And what is your antidote? What kind of, what age is the Bigfoot? How, what's its height, weight, metabolism, right? We don't know what it's going to be. So therefore, these people that go out and try to capture it using a gun, no. You know what they're doing? That's why I withdrew from it. They're using an overdose of the drug so they can come out and say, gee, folks, I tried to capture it, but unfortunately, it's dead. They're using it as a killing gun. That's exactly what they're doing.
I didn't mean by that.
Why no?
If you're enjoying all this rare and unique content, please show your support by subscribing and leaving comments.